Hello and welcome to the OLY podcast. Before we get started, tiny bit of housekeeping. A couple of things on the back end of the website at the moment, guys. Delivery is taking a bit longer for some customers. We really can't do much about this, so we do ask for just a bit more patience, as we can all respect that all logistical and couriers are being put under a bit more pressure than normal. So yeah, we've got that, so we do ask for a tiny bit of patience. It shouldn't be too much of a wait. Good news, our SS20 range is launching within the next 10 days. We have one thing to come before it, one big thing to come before it, and we're actually going to let our podcast crew know about it now. We are doing a like and share comp, and no, we are not jumping on the back of the bandwagon. This has been in the pipeline since August, and we have a really good prize pot up for grabs for everybody that's going to take part. So we have loads of local companies, loads of big companies taking part. We're not going to announce too much about it now, but you will see that coming up. So on to the podcast. Today we have our first female on the show. It comes in the form of none other than fierce female Fran Morelli. Bit of alliteration there for everyone. Fran is a really, really good friend of mine. We met at a speaking gig about a year and a half ago, and just from that moment I kind of knew that I wanted to be in her circle and I wanted to get to know her because she is just a boss. Fran is kind of like one of the busiest people I know. She is incredibly hardworking. She has multiple projects on the go at any one time, and one thing that I admire about Fran is that she is incredibly effective, focused and efficient with her time, and you'll hear her talk a lot about it. She's driven, she's fierce, and she's a really effective female in business, and I hope she can kind of show everyone, whether you're a girl or a boy, that you doesn't really matter. You can fucking go out and play your own cards and progress in life. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoys. It's a bit of a longer show, so lots to listen to, and yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Continue to subscribe, continue to review, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Well, as he said, my name is Fran Morelli. I'm originally from Port Stewart. I'm 23 years old. Name Morelli from Port Stewart, two and two together. I am from the ice cream family of the North Coast. My family is Morelli's Ice Cream, so I'm very lucky to be from an entrepreneurial background, which really inspired a lot of the entrepreneurial activity I do today. I am...
Sorry, let me interrupt. What's your favourite flavour of ice cream?
Oh, honeycomb.
Same.
Easy. OG.
That's why we're successful. Sorry, go on.
So coming on from that then, currently I am Director and Chief Operating Officer of DIP, or Deals in Places. It's an app that notifies consumers of promotional offers based on their live location and preferences. It is the only PPC platform in the world specifically for promotional offers. I'm also co-founder and collaboration manager at Airtight Influencers. It is Northern Ireland's first agency exclusively for social media influencers. We connect social media influencers to brands and businesses to help promote their business and obtain reach and exposure. Aside from that, I am also Enterprise Support Officer at Queen's University Belfast Students' Union. So I advise and mentor student entrepreneurs and startups. I help students achieve their dreams of becoming their own boss or stepping into their dream career. So that is what I do 9 to 5, and I work on DIP and Airtight Influencers around that. So I lead a busy life, but it's how I love it. Love being busy.
That's crazy. That's probably the best intro we've ever had. Here's my sales pitch. But no, that's like, again, I could not contextualize that at the start. I was like, what does Fran actually do? So it's clear. You do a lot.
Jack of all trades, master of none. You know yourself.
Yeah, well, I do know myself. That should be my Instagram bio. But let's even start with your workload of the week. Like, where the hell do you find the time to live and do anything? Because between your 9 to 5 and the SU, and then Dip app, and then our tight influencers, like, where do you have Fran time?
I mean, for me, I really, really enjoy what I do. Not to sound cliche, but none of my hard work actually seems like work a lot of the time. Obviously there's some tasks that are more annoying than others, but when I am growing each of my own businesses, it doesn't ever actually really feel like work because I really do enjoy it. I do love it, and I hate saying that. I'm just listening to myself and I'm cringing. It sounds so cliche, but it's true. So I mean, Fran time for me, everything I sort of do I do with a goal in mind. Like, I'm relaxing so that I can be more effective when I'm working. I'm, exercising so that I have a clear state of mind for my productivity. I'm chilling with my friends so that I can be in a good mood for when I'm coming into work and when I'm dealing with clients. And for me, it sort of all feeds into one goal. So for me, business time and Fran time are all kind of one and the same.
Cool.
So that's where I would say my Fran time is. I'm not, honestly, I'm going to put my hand up and say I am not one of these mad people who stays up till 4 a.m. working. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people sustain it. I think if I was forced to work a 7 a.m. work day until 2 a.m. in the morning, I would just not be productive or effective in anything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, people ask, oh, you look like you work so hard, you look like you're so busy, where's the Fran time? And I'm like, I mean, trust me, it's not one of those gigs where I'm working 24/7. I'm just not.
And even to go off that, so one, it's not normal for every 23-year-old to go out and do what you do. So there obviously has to be some reason. So we'll talk about your background a bit more. You come from a very business-oriented family. Obviously, you are the proprietors. I hope that's the right way to say that word. You're the owners and operators of Morelli's Ice Cream, one of the most successful ice cream chains in the country. So I'd assume that's kind of where you get your drive from and your motivation, having seen your parents do what they've done.
It's actually so funny because when I was growing up, I saw a lot of the stress my dad was under running his own business. We take care of the Morelli shop on the promenade in Port Stewart. And he always turned around and he said to me, Jessica, never run your own business, never run your own business. And I grew up thinking, I am never going to run my own business. It looks crap. And even when I moved to Paris in 2017 to work there for a year, and I worked there with a group of startups, and even when I came home from there, I was like, never running my own business. What hard work to build something for maybe little reward in the first while, or for it maybe even to fail altogether. And to be honest, opportunities presented themselves that were just too hard to turn down. And it all kind of came naturally to me. Everything that was happening in a business sense just made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easy for me to pick up on, easy for me to understand. And of course, there has been some really hard parts, and some parts I've, found it more difficult to get my head around. But I've always been commercially minded, and growing up in a family business, the idea of providing a product or service and getting money for it has always just been my bread and butter. So when I was asked to come on board DIP as a director and to do sales, I just thought, well, I've been working on startups the last year. This sounds really exciting. It sounds like it has potential. Yeah, why not? I wasn't going to say no. And in terms of airtight influencers, I saw a really obvious gap in the market that I couldn't sit and watch somebody else fill.
Mm-hmm. I think as well, like you said, it came very naturally to you, and I would assume you're referring to, when opportunities arose, it wasn't even you just kind of went head first at it. But I would say a lot of those opportunities came from you kind of already going out on your own, and other kind of people that were starting their own gig saying, right, she has potential, she's working her ass off. So that's definitely testimony. Like being at 23 and having done a year abroad and having worked on multiple projects, like the skills and kind of the knowledge you'll gain. For example, you at 23 now is probably more experienced than a majority of 28 to 30 year olds, and that's no word of a lie, just because you have done a broad, wide range of skills in business.
I don't know. I just think it's all about problem solving. As I say, I never set out to start up my own business.
Yeah.
But I saw problems, and I always seek to solve them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people come to me and they say, oh, I want to be my own boss. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start up my own business. I'm like, okay, well, this person must have an idea. So I'm like, okay, well, what are you thinking? They're like, oh, like, I don't know, I just want to start up my own business. And I'm a bit like, I just never really got that, because for me, some of the best entrepreneurs I know, and I know some of the best ideas I've seen, they stemmed from a regular person that noticed a problem,
Yeah.
that noticed a gap in
Generally,
the market.
like, it's so funny you say that. Generally, every business on earth, literally every business on earth, can be contextualized into or categorized into this: is that you're either a product or service, and you do one of 5 things: add hope, add value, save time, save money, and add convenience. And all of them solve a problem, and that's literally it. So it's like, it's totally true what you're saying.
In my opinion, if there's no problem to solve, there's no business.
Exactly, and you're absolutely right. And a lot of people overcomplicate that as well. You know, whenever they go into business, and like you just said, it's like, oh, I want to get into business, really like the idea, but it's one, it's the most unglamorous thing you could ever do, and two, like, you know, for me, my business arose like I just felt like I could do it better than the next guy, but also there was an element of the convenience in our custom apparel service that was just non-existent at the time, and that was just a simple problem. You know, it is a problem, and that's the big thing, is you just being able to recognize that and pick up on that in your day-to-day life. Is like, you know, fuck, this could be easier, that could be faster, this could be more handier, that could be more convenient. Do something about it. That's literally what it is. But that's pretty cool. So we'll kind of move on to your journey, and we touched on it there. Like you said, you moved to France for a year. How was that, and how did that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend I'm some like class person who piped up one morning and had this vision and was like, I want to eat baguettes in front of the Eiffel Tower every day, and I want to work in startups in the most glamorous city in the world. No, it wasn't really like that at all. I wish I could say it was. But in all honesty, I studied international business with French at Queen's for my degree, and it was a compulsory part of the programme to spend a year in a French-speaking country. So, you know, people ask me, why Paris? Honestly, I never wanted to go to Paris. I didn't think my French would improve as much as it could have if I went to Paris. I would rather have been in a probably smaller city where I could really improve my French skills. But I said from the beginning that I was going to move based on the job as opposed to the location. I thought, I want my year abroad to be spent doing a real value adding job, something I'm going to learn a lot at, and where that's based, so be it. So I was presented with many options by Queen's to go and work in corporate settings in different places throughout France, and none of them were really appealing to me. So I went off on my own. I went, you know, I really want to make the most out of this year. And I just went completely out and started searching for my own placements, and the placement office were going nuts at me. They were calling me. They were like, you still haven't found a placement? What are you doing? I went, well, I don't like any of them. Until eventually an opportunity presented itself with a thing called a startup studio. Now, I'm not joking when I say I didn't even know what a startup was. I thought I was going to work in like a venture capitalist firm. I really had no idea what the word startup even meant. So I sort of pitched up in Paris. I'd never even been to Paris in my life. And I worked in a group of startups for those 9 months. So it was called a startup studio, and what that is basically there was one founder, and he basically paired up with 5 entrepreneurs, and they set up 5 different businesses under the one umbrella of AD Ventures Startup Studio. Each was its own entity within itself, and each had their own activity and their own revenue streams, etc., their own teams, but they pull resources. So they pull finances.
Each of the other businesses?
Exactly,
cool.
Yeah. So they pull finances and they pull staff. So whilst I was there, I didn't just get to work in one business, in one industry. I worked in 3. I worked in one startup called Eloquence, a startup called UArt, and a startup called Wimmy. One was a SaaS solution for teamwork and collaboration. One was a marketplace for financial tools and models. And one was a platform that shared artworks from all over the world. So I was in a position where I opened up my eyes to so many different industries and so many different business models. I worked the most on a startup called Eloquence, the one I mentioned, that sold and shared financial models and tools and best practices. I was the first proper long-term employee. When I say long-term, it was only 9 months, but they'd only ever employed people for maybe 6 weeks or 2 months. So I was the first proper one, and in my time there, in the 9 months, we grew the platform from just over 2,000 users to just over 10,000 users.
Crazy.
So I think while I was there, I was basically just doing anything that needed done. And that's when my background from a family business really came into play. In a family business, anyone will tell you, you are there to help, to get the job done, and you will do what needs done on that given day. It doesn't matter whether it's taking out the bins, cleaning tables, or whether it's back doing the tills. You're doing anything that needs done because it's your family. and you're being relied on to do whatever it is to make that day go in. So that's what I did in the startup. I did what needed done, and I think for me that really gave me the buzz of understanding startup life. It was seeing, this sounds very millennial of me, but it was seeing the value of my work and seeing the impact my own work was making.
Big time.
I saw an impact. So by the time I left and I said, well, how many users are we on now? Just over 10,000. I went, wow, 9 months ago when I came here, we had just over 2,000, and we have successfully, grew from 2 people to 3 people to 4 people by the time I left. We had created a real community that was value adding. We'd grown over 50 testimonials, and it was just really exciting. And I just really loved it. So then when I came back and I was asked to come on board a tech startup, it was a no-brainer. I went, absolutely, let's do it.
That's super impressive. But it's so gratifying, and you'll know that. And that's kind of like in startups, you'll know. Well, I know. It's you don't get money in the start. Nobody gets money. And if you think you're starting a business to be rich, well, I would genuinely think again.
But that was actually a real learning curve for me, Louis.
Big time.
Because I am so used to a catering background where I give you a scone for £2 it takes me 50p to make, and I put it in the till, and it contributes towards our wages at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. When I came on board a tech startup in France, and no one was making any money, all we were doing was spending money we didn't have, I thought, what the hell is going on here? My parents had always taught me there's no business without profit. You have to work to make money, blah blah blah. I went, why the hell am I coming into this place every single day and working for 8 hours a day and nobody's making any money? I was honestly confused. Yeah. Until it was finally explained to me that we were building for acquisition, which was a completely new concept. Now, I was only 19, and to be introduced to this was such a game changer for me, because then when I came back, it opened my eyes to the world of tech startups and those businesses that build themselves every day for the sole aim of being acquired and to make money 5 years down the line. That's
actually a pretty cool thing. We'll isolate that just for a second, because there might be some people very interested in business that might want a bit more context on that. So do you want to try contextualize acquisition and what that is, building for acquisition?
Well, I mean, in the words of my mum, she says you must always build your business as if you were going to sell it tomorrow.
For sure.
So no matter what type of business you own, it's always good to be thinking about long-term goals of potentially being acquired or selling your business anyway. However, to answer Louis' question, building for acquisition happens a lot in the tech startup world.
Big time.
You basically set up and run a business in the hopes that you will one day be acquired by a bigger company that will buy your business for X million. That will allow you to either stay on as a director and keep working in that business, or leave and move to Australia and, I don't know, sell surfboards the rest of your life.
Good. I think a good example would be eBay buying PayPal, because their PayPal system can integrate straight into eBay, benefits their business model, and that's kind of a big thing. Like you said, it is very, very prevalent in tech startups, because people will, there's one of the companies that I'm working with at the moment, booking and management software, but their software is actually relative to a completely new industry. They're thinking about going down that road, and it's interesting. I've only been exposed to this idea as well. Setting up a business not to make profit, but for acquisition is so vision oriented, and it actually feels backward at the time, because you've all these misconceptions, especially when you haven't been in business for a long time, and that if you're not making money, you think you're not doing well. But no, it's not in the 21st century. I mean, with tech startups and stuff happening now, that's generally the way things are all going. But one thing I've really picked up on, Fran, is that you've done a lot of different things over the last kind of 4 years. I would say you've been in business 4 years, 5 years, kind of 5.
Yeah, well, I sort of feel like I've been in business my whole life. I mean, I've worked in my family business since I was 13, but really going out and doing my own thing started in Paris, really. Yeah. So, since probably 2017.
Yeah, so even in that short period of time, you'll have done a lot in a lot of different industries, and you'll have done many facets of business, from sales to marketing to social media management to resource and source and all that stuff. What in your mind right now is your dream job? What if I could give you any opportunity for Fran Morelli, what would it be? Do you want to be a CEO? Do you want to be a head of marketer? Do you want to be business development? What element of business have you found that you take a very, very keen knack to? It came very, very naturally to you.
Well, do you know what? When I was growing up, people asked me this question, and I always just said, look, I want to be C-suite. I want to be in a really high corporate job. I want to be working for a huge big company, and I want to be right up there. I want to be senior level. And then one day I turned around and thought to myself, you know, I could be C-suite level of my own company.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a bit of a game changer for me.
Big time.
So, I mean, my dream job is to be CEO, boss lady, senior, whatever of my own company. It hopefully will be one of the businesses I'm running now, or it could be something completely different. I really don't know. I was actually in a Dragon's Den workshop today. It's a Dragon's Den is a competition I'm running at Queen's for some of our student entrepreneurs. And I actually took part in that same competition last year with Dip. And the leader of the workshop, the same one as I had last year, turned around to one of the students and said, do you have any paying customers? And in that position last year, I turned around and said, no paying customers. And I thought, God, I never would have thought that a year fast forward, I would be sitting in the same room with paying customers in a different business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just completely just completely bizarre. So do you know, I've gone off one and I can't even remember what the question was.
It's kind of it's actually, you've kind of answered it, because I related to what you said. After having been in business for a long time, I think I'm the exact same in you, that I would prefer to be a jack of all trades and have my finger in many pies, because I don't feel like I could express myself fully in just being a marketer, in just being a business development officer, or just being an operations guy. I think when you get a taste of not necessarily doing one task well, but you kind of fall in love with the principles of business, and, you know, the excitement you get from solving a problem, or the delayed gratification you get from growing something from 2,000 users to 10,000 users. It's those wee things, and it's totally like, you know, that'll change from business to business what you're doing, and kind of the flavour of the ice cream, had to put that pun in there, but it will, and that's kind of what I'll shorten it out, but it's kind of, you don't want to specialise anymore because you've had a taste of it.
I know what I'm good at.
Yes.
You know,
what are you good at?
So what am I good at? I'm good at leading a team. I'm good at relationships. I'm good at networking. I'm good at thinking about where the money's coming from. I am good at more sort of broad things, you know. I have friends that are absolutely brilliant at the aesthetics of, you know, social media, and that can create absolutely phenomenal social media strategies that can create brilliant videos. I would say I'm a good problem solver. I'm always thinking, okay, that's a problem, what's the solution? I'm really good at thinking of creative ways to solve problems, whether that be in terms of business solutions or internal smaller issues. I would say that I'm a really creative thinker that way, and that makes me good at strategizing. But I will so not shy away from saying, do you know what, I'm terrible at that. And I am...
What are your weaknesses?
What are my weaknesses? So I have a colleague, and she's absolutely phenomenal at creating brilliant content and, you know, putting really gorgeous looking things out on Instagram. And you know yourself, that is the age we're in now, where people love a pretty Instagram feed.
Big time.
You know, and they love these really cool videos. So whilst I say I'm creative, in terms of that side of creativity, it's really not my strong point. I've always thought I'm really bad at, you know, finances and accounting, but see, to be honest, I've had to do it all myself now. And my business partner was outlining our roles the other day, and he said, okay, so Fran, you do this, you do that, and you do all the finance and accounting. And I went, what? I do what? And well, I suppose I do.
It's really, but like, it's really not that hard.
And I've not messed it up yet.
Yeah.
So I must be all right at it.
Well, but it's money, and whenever it's your own money, holy shit, like, yeah, that's the only reason I'm good at counting money now, is because it's like, whether you're losing or making, it's your own, and you'll dial into the numbers.
Well,
like.
You don't really want to lose someone else's either, so...
That's even worse. that's even worse. But
so
it's pretty interesting.
Step up, really.
Yeah, but it's really interesting to see what makes you successful, but like, and we'll get on to the big question. This is what I ask everyone from kind of sports, not sports, what's sports stars, but from guys who are doing athletic and performance orientated feats, guys who are in business, personalities, everything. So what I'm asking them is, what is their version of success, and how do they define it? So how do you define success? And then we'll get to the version after.
I define success
and
as...
literally, sorry to interrupt, try go word for word. like succinct.
Okay. So I define success as being surrounded by the right people.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one, Patty. That's very you as well. Being surrounded by the right people.
When you're surrounded by the right people, you have the right relationships in business and personally. You are surrounded by the right people in the way that you can leave your business for a week and trust that it will be run effectively and efficiently without you there. For me, that's the dream.
That is that's cool. I've never ever heard it be contextualized that way, but that is a very interesting take on it. I mean, even to fire in a contrast, my version of success, or the quote, the mantra that I use to quantify success is, it's fulfilling my potential every day. So like, it's really interesting to see that that's what it is for you, if you know what I mean. And that's a big thing we want to kind of touch on, but that's interesting. I get that, like, I understand that, and I understand where you're coming from. I think it's a big, like, you've all seen that cringy Instagram business meme where it's like, you're a product of your 5 people you hang around with, and you know what? It's true. It's like,
it is true, and it is important that way, that you are surrounding yourself with the right friendships and the right relationships, and obviously they define you as a person, and they contribute to your happiness, they contribute to your success, they contribute to your contentment. Like, I'd be nothing without my friends, my family. But at the end of the day, I look 20 years into the future and I'm thinking, what is the type, who is the woman I want to become? Who is she? What does she look like? What's she doing?
Yeah.
And I picture this woman who is, you know, leaving her office on a Tuesday afternoon, and everyone around her respects her enough to do what they're meant to be doing and run her business as well as she would if she were there.
How do you implement that? How do you get that in a team? You know, how do you lead a team so that the people around you are totally excited, motivated, driven, you know, disciplined? How do you get that?
Well, I mean, you talked about leading a team, but I mean, ultimately the first step is picking the team.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be a crucial first step, is, you know, going with your gut feeling in terms of people, making sure that they are envisioning the same things as you, are goal driven, that you're going to get along with them, that are going to call you out, that are going to be able to correct you, that have that confidence. When it comes to leading a team, as I said, I've been working in my family business since I was 13 or 14, and my dad has always said to myself and my siblings, you have to go in there and be an example. So for me, being a leader is all about leading by example. You won't ask your team to do anything you wouldn't do yourself or you haven't done yourself, and that you're going to work just as hard as you expect all of them to work.
My mind's blown. That's really cool, though. That's a really cool take on it. It's interesting because it makes total sense, and I can see where you're coming from on that. But that's interesting. We'll keep adding context to that then. So, kind of, I want to really dig down. So you said that your environment is a big contributor to, and I mean environment as in the team and the people you hang about with. But what are the other kind of things that you do that kind of go towards your success? And I don't want to be like, oh, I read books, that could be something, so that's no problem. But what are the things that you do, whether it be habits, a routine, you know, personal self-development? What are the things that you started doing in the last 4 years that you didn't do beforehand that have really kind of contributed to your success?
People keep asking me this, and I really do struggle with this question, because I am sucked in every single day to the rhetoric on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I am surrounded by young entrepreneurs. It's who I do surround myself with. It's, you know, I am surrounded every day by very successful people who I have the utmost admiration and respect for. But as I say, I'm sucked in every day to a load of nonsense that says that they sit up till 4 a.m. and they read all these books and they're really, really motivated, and they spend 23 hours a day working. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's, do you know what? If there is actually one person that works for 23 hours a day, I'd bloody love to meet them.
Yeah, side note, I was one of those guys in the early days. I was like going into Instagram and, you know, trying to do all these get rich quick schemes. And I was like, how is that dude hustling, you know, 100 hours a week, 90 hours a week? If you actually break down what that is, hour for hour, it's absolutely batshit crazy. And I think that's a big thing as well for any kind of entry-level entrepreneurs or any entry-level business. Well, not even business owners, but guys that want to get into another business. Don't believe the shit that you see online.
That is the thing, because I want to look at these people. I'm like, okay, can I see your day then? If you're working for 23 hours of that, can I see your week? Because if you're saying you work 23 hours a day, okay, I want to see how you're doing that every single day of the week and how you're not crashing and burning. I want to see whether you are saying you're working, but you're actually just scrolling through Instagram in the name of, I don't know, networking, scrolling through LinkedIn in the name of, you know, sales. Like, what are you actually doing?
Yeah,
like, is that actually work? You have to hold yourself accountable. So what I've stopped doing now, I know you asked me what I do. I'm going to tell you what I've stopped doing.
Even better.
Is comparing myself to these people, because honestly, what I've really learned in the last week or so is that people lie.
Big time. Everyone is an inherent liar.
Oh my goodness, that people really sugarcoat. And so what I'm starting to do now a lot more is just get on with my own thing and do what works for me. I am going to say, if there's something that needs done, I will do it. Obviously, if it's, you know, whether it's 8 o'clock at night or whether it's 5 in the morning, if it needs done urgently, I will absolutely do it. But I leave my office every day at 5 o'clock. I go home and I go for a run and I have my dinner with my housemate and I chill out, and then I like watch Love Island and go to bed. Do you know what I mean? Being an entrepreneur and having businesses doesn't mean, you know, working every single hour of your day. I said earlier that everything I do contributes to being able to work efficiently and effectively and productively throughout the day. So if that means I'm going to be able to come into work then at 8:30 and work absolutely really hard and very productively until I go home at 5 o'clock, well then so be it. I'm the first to say, not going to sit up to 2 in the morning, because then I wouldn't be at my desk at 8:30 being productive from the get-go.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think the big thing, it's not the, and it sounds always cliche what I'm about to say, but it is so true, and you'll definitely agree. It's not necessarily the hours that you're doing every day. It's
what you're putting into the hours.
Exactly. And I know for myself, like today was a big writing day for me. I'm doing a big report at the moment, and you know, once you get into your flow state, if you haven't heard of it, Google it. It's interesting. But once you get into your flow state, and like 4 hours passed today, and I was just sitting writing, and that's probably the bulk. You know, other than and this is me being absolutely honest and transparent. Like, that could be a good day of writing. You know, for me. You know, yes, I've got my operations. Yes, I have to liaise with our manager and our marketing guy. We have to do this. This is our second podcast today, and I'll have to do my own personal work within that. But like, you know, people think that, oh, I need to do 10 hours a year, I need to do this, I need to do that. Nah, and only you and you alone will know yourself if you give everything to that task. And again, it kind of comes into kind of my vision of what success is to me, is literally fulfilling your potential every day. And that is like being able to know internally, what is my potential? Could I sit for 10 hours? Sweet. If you can do that, fucking do it, you know, sweet. That. But for me, it's like I am inherently lazy, and a lot of people would be kind of interested to learn that. But the big thing is that whenever I am working, and you know, I don't work anymore. I do like 50-hour a week is a big week for me. And then there's people like, oh, that's you got to jump those numbers up, mate. And I'm like, bro, that's me literally at my age.
But they're the type of people that bill for their thinking time.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can, I'm going to sound a bit arrogant here, but honestly, I reckon I could do in 3 hours what some people I've met say that they spend 10 hours doing.
Big time. I fully agree with that.
And I'm not here for it anymore.
Yeah.
Say no to crap.
No, but it's like, it's so true. Like, have you ever read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week? You know, he literally has built businesses and has showed you how you can build a business on 4 hours a week.
It's about focus and productivity.
Big time.
Sometimes it's not all about the hours, it's about what you put into those hours. And I've gone off the question, and I'm sorry about that. But
no, but that's totally, that's what we want.
I'm a very day-by-day person. So I'm, you know, not this person that says, oh, you know what, do this and I do this. I take it day by day, and you'll know yourself in startup life. There is a different thing every day.
Every single day.
Every day is different. So every day now I'm getting a new client inquiring, but I couldn't have predicted that the day before.
Big time.
You know, so it's not like, oh, you know, between 12 and 2 I deal with new clients. That's just not how it works.
More so, it's kind of, we're definitely backtracking a lot here, but in the last year especially, because that's when most of your learning will have been done, what is like maybe one thing you've picked up on that you do now that you didn't do even a year ago? Like, what is one, maybe it could be in your daily routine, could be in the way that you know, even you picked up on something or that happened during the week and you've picked up on that. You know, maybe hit me with another one of those, because I'm learning here, like.
God, it's a good question, actually. And I should probably have another think about this one.
Yeah, don't rush it. For me, I'll even interject while you think, is communication. Huge thing. You briefly touched on it, that you are a good team leader, you set the example. Are you a good communicator?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a good communicator, and I've always been very honest. I think honesty and transparency is absolute key. Actually, just on that is probably one thing that I do differently now to I would have last year. I've become smarter in my approach to that, because whilst honesty and transparency are two of my key values, I've learned that sometimes it's worth it to keep your cards a little closer to your chest.
Big time. I agree.
So I've noticed recently that there are some people that might try and get a bit of information out of you that you maybe would have otherwise not told them.
Mm-hmm.
So whilst I always do want to be, as I say, honest in how I'm communicating with people and what I say, I have learned that sometimes it's good not to give everything away.
It's like a controlled honesty. I'm the same. I'm a very open, kind of transparent person. I'm one of those Gary V babies that has had that drilled into them. But it's funny you say that about being honest and transparent, and then also being a good communicator. It's something that I actually really struggled with. Obviously, I'm the leader in my business, and I'm actually a shit communicator. Like, I was awful. It's something that I personally need to really, really work on, and that, you know, we have a guy based in Dublin, and then now luckily our GM is with us full time, so communication's kind of improved in that. But even, you know, because I was so used to doing things myself, you know, if something needed done, it was me. That was always the way, and that way it meant that I wasn't learning how to communicate to a team. I was like, oh, he can't do it. It would be faster if I'd done it myself. And then to kind of add to that dichotomy, it was being honest with people. Mm-hmm. It's something that I really struggled with, you know, whether that be a partner, whether that be my friends, whether that be someone in business. I just struggled to not tell the truth. I would always tell the truth, but if the truth kind of hurt their feelings, and then kind of the more and more, and I actually have to practice it. It actually, a lot of stuff with Paddy is like, he'll call me out and shit, and I'll call him out. Well, I seldom have to call him out on anything, but it was kind of that relationship that really fed into all my other relationships and working in business. Like, it's difficult to be honest, but the time you save from being honest, the quality of your work from being honest, and also the big thing is how much you can better your colleague or your partner or your friend from being honest. Mm-hmm. It's a no-brainer whenever you think it like that. Even being, you know, with your friends, for example. Your friends in this day and age could hate you if you were honest with them. That's just the way it is in the 21st century. Oh, you hurt my feelings, I hate you. No, it's like, you're not saying it to fuck someone off. You're saying it because you want to help them and better them. But
no, well, I mean, on that topic, it all stemmed from me when I was living in Paris, and I was in a similar position to all of my other classmates, because we all had to go and undertake this compulsory year in a French-speaking country. And actually, our Spanish counterparts were the same. They were all in Spain, and I was looking on social media, and you know what? I got off to a really bad start in Paris, and I really hated it. And I looked around at all my counterparts and thought, oh my God, they're having the time of their lives. And I thought, what is going on? Why am I hating this? What's wrong with me? And in the first couple of months I came out, then I wrote a blog post. I went, right, I'm cutting the crap. I'm hating this. I'm really struggling. I'm not climbing up the Eiffel Tower every day with a baguette in my hand, and I'm actually really miserable. I was like, is anybody else really struggling? I was like, I'm so tired and I'm so homesick and I'm really missing my boyfriend at the time. And the response I received from that post, we've talked a lot about social media, and we've talked a lot about the crap that goes on, the sugarcoating that was being done about
Big
those
time.
year abroad, similarly to the sugarcoating that's done now about this, like, you know, entrepreneurship on the grind life. It just was not authentic. So the messages I got from that blog post, all of a sudden, all of the people that I were looking at saying they were having the time of their lives were writing to me saying, oh my God, Francesca, I'm so glad you said that. I'm the same. Yeah. I'm having a really hard time here. I'm finding this really difficult. I'm so tired.
Yeah. And
I was like, why didn't you all say this
Yeah,
before?
and you, if I could just isolate that for a second, so a lot, because this was new to me this year. Only this year was this new to me, and like that's the strength of being honest, because people are relating to you.
You realise you're not alone.
Exactly. And even for us, I deal in transparency, especially with our customers. Like if we had a shit launch, I'll say it. You know, if maybe a product wasn't up to scratch, I'll say it, because people will be like, oh, well, just go again, do it better next time.
They respect you more for it.
Big time.
They respect you more for it. So that was sort of when I learned that it's better just to be upfront about things, because you will realise very quickly that you're not the only one.
Big time. And I kind of picked up on something that you do a blog. Do you like, and for me, like I journal a lot, and I've only started doing it since really kind of late 29, well, no, mid 2019, let's say. But for me it was fantastic. Is that kind of your equivalent of a journal, for example? Do you blog? Do you kind of gather thoughts? And because I'm really trying to pick into wee things that you do that maybe an average person, not, I don't want to say an average because it's wrong, but you know, someone else could do that could kind of help with them, or help them, sorry.
Honestly, I don't, and I've seen a lot of people that do, and I've seen it be beneficial to a lot of people. I recently discovered that I'm very good at repressing things.
Same.
So
Decompartmentalizing.
So I noticed that you know, I'll have a lot going on, but I get on with it. At the end
Big
of the day,
time.
I just try to go every day, and I just get on with things, because things need done. I have stuff to do. I just get on with it. And
Do you never burn out?
so there's times then I would pick up little nervous habits, you know, and I would do little silly things to be coping, but that's just my method of repression. So I've noticed recently that all does tend to then come out in a bit of a breakdown every once in a while. It
Big
doesn't happen
time.
often, but it does come out. So I'm thinking now in the future, journaling or writing more about that sort of thing is maybe something that could help me or benefit me. You know, looking into the next year, I'm one of those people that is very into personal development.
Big time.
And
same.
again, it sounds very like personal development, but you know, it's something that's so necessary in not only like a business journey but a life journey. You know,
Big
if
time.
you're not seeking to constantly improve yourself, then like what's the point?
Big time. I agree. It's even like, you said something very relative there, but even to isolate, you know, journaling, for example, it's like 2 years ago, if you'd said, oh, you're not journaling, Lewis, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? I am this manly man. But ever since I started doing the simplest things like journaling, I have realized, like, I'm like you, I decompartmentalize everything, because, you know, I've done multiple projects at multiple times, kind of like yourself, and you have to me, that's kind of that's how you deal with stress, but it's also a very good way to motivate yourself.
I feel like it's the fear of when I've written it down, it's out there and I have to deal with it.
Yes, big time.
Because you can easily repress things and think, oh well, you know, it's fine because I can just pretend that's not a thing. But the minute I write it down, I've made it a thing, and then I have to deal with that thing.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh.
Then it
crap,
exists in the
I
world.
wish I just kept it in my mind.
Yes, because it exists in the universe. I know exactly what you're saying. But you said a lot there about kind of personal development. Are you a goal setter? Are you, you know, how do you do that? How do you kind of look into the future as such?
So that's going back to what I said earlier, is I'm a day-by-day person. I try to
You
do
don't
the
do
best.
goals at all?
So I think that's why I've ended up in the position that I'm in both my companies. I'm very fortunate to have business partners in both businesses, and a lot of the time one of the people I work with in both businesses sort of deals with long-term strategy and goals. And as I said, I'm just a day-by-day person, and I tend to take things as they come, work at it day by day. I live by the mindset that I get hit by a bus tomorrow. So I try to do the best I can every day with what I have in front of me. And it's something I should be better at, is, you know, setting long-term goals. I can think, you know, the woman I want to be, I want this to be her in 20 years, but, you know, every day I'm going to do these things to eventually become that person. I find it very, very difficult to think, oh, I want to be turning over this much in 5 years, or you know, I want the business to have this many staff in 3 years. I find it very difficult to do that, especially with the ever-changing environment of business now.
100%. One thing I would definitely say is, like, I would define you then as a very internally motivated person, in that you don't really need this big glamorous long-term vision of, like you say, I want to make such and such revenue, and I want to do this, and I want to have achieved this. I think that's really interesting, because there's literally a category for that. You can separate two people into internally and externally motivated, and you're definitely internally motivated in that you don't need an external goal to kind of bring you forward. You're just into delivering and fulfilling your potential every day.
It's because I love it.
Boom.
It's because I love it. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to love it when X, or I will love my life when X. I love my life now, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing every day because I really enjoy it today.
It's funny because a lot of people, I'd say there will be a few people reading and being like, what the fuck is she talking about, that you love it, love not making money, love not making this, and love not doing that. But it is like, to isolate and to put into literally succinct words, is you fall in love with the process. I'm the exact same. Paddy's the exact same. Is like, we might not be making the money that we set out to do all those years ago. You know, I probably won't be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. You know, actually probably won't ever well, I don't know, I'm not going to limit myself to that, but it's funny.
You have to trust the process, though. Enjoy the process, trust the process.
But and what I'm really getting at, to bring it back, is that's the joyful part. If you can get fun, or if you can get enjoyment and gratification from, like we actually touched on earlier, you know, from doing a job right, and then that job actually having a positive knock-on effect, that is the most interesting thing. Like I love the idea of creating something from nothing. I love that. I think that's so interesting, that something that did not exist, you have then created that. A decision you made, a kind of a task that you done, went to making this big bad beautiful thing. That's something that I like, and I just wanted to touch on that. So it's like, a lot of people listening will definitely be in a position where they're like, because they're maybe working in a job they don't like, or they're maybe doing something that they don't like, and it's difficult to fall in love with that process. But that's what it is. It's like,
well, find something else that drives you.
For sure. But it's like, you know, maybe a simple place to start is, let's say you're an engineer. Let's just pull that out of the hat. Literally wanting to be the most effective engineer, you know, or the best engineer, or I know fuck all about engineering, so that's probably the worst example I could use. But for example, taking a 4-hour task and doing it in 2 hours. You know, fall in love and play with those wee mini games. And I think that's something that I would say to everyone, is like, it's not going to be rainbows and unicorns every time. In fact, it'll never be that. So like, it's finding those wee things and those wee elements that you can enjoy. And that's something that I've really found, and something that is really, really clear with you.
I mean, look, I'm not saying I'm in loving my life when something really stressful has happened and I'm really under pressure. I mean, there's days where I feel so under pressure I actually just want to cry. But it's, you know, the next day where I'm thinking, oh, actually, well, that was really stressing me out, and I've just overcome it, and now I feel really proud that, you know, we've done that, and, you know, we got through it, and now there's, you know, a happy team, happy client, you know. So I as you say, I enjoy that process of the ups and the downs and the excitement and the pride. You know, when you do come through it and you have achieved something. Big time. It could be small wins, but
and even so, the second part of that big question that we ask everyone is kind of well, it's the first part to be technically right, but what is your version of success? And actually, I'll give you a bit of context to kind of answer this better. It's like, Fran Morelli, 30 years of age, 7 more years of business under her belt. What is your version of success at that point? You want to have good relationships? Do you want to have lots of wealth? Do you want to have, you know, good health? Do you want to be, I don't know?
I was at a conference the other day. It was a YENI conference, Young Entrepreneurs Network, NI, and a fabulous lady got up and spoke. She's called Lisa Strutt, and she said 2 things define a successful business: relationships and revenue. So if I can turn around at 30 years of age and say relationships tick, revenue tick, I will be a happy girl.
That's cool. I think that's a cool way to contextualize it as well and bring it together. I like that. What's her name?
Lisa Strutt.
Write that down, Paddy. We'll get her research. And why was I not invited to this YENI thing? What is it called? Young Entrepreneurs
Network, yeah. I'll invite you. I'll get you in there. I know a few people.
Get me in as your +1, Fran. I've never even heard of this. No,
well, you have now.
I know. Nobody's even heard of us. But I think, you know what, we've covered a lot of ground there today. I'm really happy with everything we've covered, and I think they've definitely got a bit of value in. So I would wrap it up there, Patrick. But yes, listen, we'll do the closeouts. Thank you to Queen's University Students' Union for letting us kind of commandeer the place. Thank you to you for your time. Let's hit Fran with a few plugs. So put her plugs in here. What are your plugs?
So at airtight_influencers, at dip_app, and get me on LinkedIn, folks.
Get your personal in there. Everybody wants a big personal
Do you know what?
following.
I had a big Instagram. I had tons of followers on it, and one day a few months ago, I was Beanock, right? One day my Instagram was fucking hacked.
What?
My Instagram got hacked. I fell for a stupid scam, and the whole thing was hacked. And I could have got it back, but at that point, it was sacrificing some of my friends and my family's personal information. It was their private Instagrams. This person was getting into them. I went, no, do you know what? Social media should not be stressful. Take note. Social media should not be stressful.
Like
right.
that.
Do you know what? Deleting it. Deleted the thing.
Did
Started
you?
a new one. Yeah.
Whoa.
Started a new one, and I've kept it private. I've kept it between friends and family, and it just means that now, no pressure. I just do my own thing, but I have over 100 follow requests sitting in that inbox.
Patty, we have just opened up a can of worms.
Yeah,
so
it's my. So I'm not telling you.
No, you know what? You know what? This is interesting. Scrappa, we're not stopping right now. We're in the 21st century. You are owning and operating not owning, co-owning and operating two business, and you're head of the SU. How are you doing that without? Because this is really, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I fully agree with what you're doing, in fact. But a lot of people will be listening and be like, what the fuck? I couldn't imagine a world like that. Like my other good close friend, she deleted hers as well. And at the time I was like, what are you doing? Like, how have you found it? Was it a struggle for you?
So
Like,
I assume you're talking about personal brand, really, aren't you?
Yes and no. I mean, just in general.
My LinkedIn is where I do my business. It's where I sell. It's where I come on and talk about business. It's where I talk about my businesses and talk about. I'm very real on LinkedIn. I'm not one of these people that fluffs about and
5 tips to make your business better.
Yeah, no, not me. I try to be as authentic as I can be on LinkedIn. I try to be myself. My Instagram was great. I loved it. I had fun with it. But at the end of the day, I just didn't think it should be a stressful thing. And when it got hacked, I thought, okay, I was weighing up the options. I could keep it here as a private Instagram just for me to post what I want with my friends, or I could start from zero and go and grow all that following again. But then I'm like, mate, I run a social media influencer company. I mean, I manage 60 influencers that can do that for me. Let them have their following, let them grow their Instagrams. That's their job. I'll manage them. Sweet.
The reason I'm so interested in this is because for me personally, and I can only relate to me personally, I completely changed my relationship with social media this year. In that, if you go back like 2-3 years, you see all these big, long, soppy, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, follow me, it's so hard. And then I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, Lewis? Nobody cares. You're doing this tiny, tiny project. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, and now I've just changed mine to, this is quintessentially a sales platform. Not a sales platform, I mean, it's just a photo of me hiking a mountain, a photo of me and Patty flipping a tire. That's it. It's not. I have completely taken it away or completely taken what I was doing on it away, and just it's kind of for me, and the sales element comes in that I pretty much live on the OLY account, and that's it. And that the reason for you that I find it so interesting because you're a girl. It's 2020 to like Instagram's the jam, and for you to go and delete that, like I find that really, was that liberating?
It wasn't liberating. Like I was sad to have to have done it, but at the end of the day, when my friends information was being sacrificed, it was like, do you know what, like social media shouldn't be stressful. So
Big time.
I mean, it's only Instagram.
Big time.
I was like, I know we're sort of Gen Z and social media is our lives, digital natives, etc.
It is.
But I was like, it's only Instagram.
And now that how long you've been off it?
So that happened probably 2 or 3 months ago.
And you're fine. You're alive.
It's only Instagram.
But this, again, I find it so interesting because you're big into business. But number one thing, do you feel any more disconnected than you did? Boom.
Do you know what's actually really weird that I've learned? So many people have dropped off my radar because I only knew them through Instagram.
Yeah.
It was like there were people I only kept in touch with because I had them on Instagram. And I meet people now in the street and I'm like, oh yeah, you exist.
You're that
and then
dude.
I'm like, you exist. I forgot about you. And then it's like, because I only remembered about you because I had you on Instagram. And now that I don't have these people on Instagram anymore,
Not
it's
relevant.
like,
not
it's
relative.
like, You know, of course everyone's relevant, but it's just like, you know, it's clear that like we were nearly formulating this relationship that didn't really exist.
Do you know what? I keep saying the word isolate, but it's so relative today. Yeah, buzzwords. What you've just said is exactly what my friend said. She was like, she went to a wedding, and the guy or the girl or whoever she was talking to, she went to a wedding, and this guy was asking her all these questions, and she said she went to ask him or her, I can't mind, what she had been doing, but she already knew, because she knew the girl had been on holidays twice that summer. She knew that she had already been at 2 other weddings. She knew that, you know, such and such had happened with her niece or nephew. And she was the one that opened my eyes, because as soon as I had that conversation with her, I went and took Facebook off my phone. But that was the big thing, is like, if you are a big person for relationships, and if you don't actually relate to what we're saying, maybe you are in that stage, like, where you're so caught up in social media. But if you're a big person for relationships, social media is not a good thing.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that, because that was the one thing that I actually was pretty annoyed about when I had to delete that Instagram, was that I mentioned earlier that a lot of what I do in my life does contribute to sort of my overarching goals in business or whatever, and that was the one thing that annoyed me about deleting my Instagram. I kept a lot of informal networking on Instagram.
Big time.
You know, it was like business relationships that I'd made in a more formal context, I was able to upkeep in a more informal context through Instagram. So, you know, I'd met someone at an event, and it was like, oh, start by business cards or LinkedIn, and then it was like, oh, I'm following you on Instagram, a bit more personal now, and it nearly was like a business relationship had turned into more of a friendship through Instagram, which I actually really loved, and it helped me upkeep those business relationships, and I lost all of those contacts then when I lost that Instagram.
Kind of contradicts my statement earlier, but you can get a sense of who they are personally. You can get a sense, and you can relate to them maybe.
Yeah.
You know, if I go on and some dude's playing rugby, I'll be like, oh, you played rugby, I played rugby, you know, and that's a good place to start. But that's definitely interesting. So even to wrap that up for the second time, if you are in a position where you have a very negative relationship with social media, which will only increase in prevalence, there's no doubt about it, it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to change your relationship. It's okay to actually hate it and actually think that there is other people that are feeling what you're feeling. So don't be afraid to even take the app off your phone but still have it, or even deactivate your account and it keeps all your data. Try that, because
I'm living proof that you will survive.
But that's what I'm saying, and this is a girl that needs to be connected. This is a girl that is pushing
my whole business is Instagram, and I'm not even properly on Instagram.
Boom. If that's anything to go by, that's a good thing to go by. So yeah, we'll wrap it up again. Hopefully you'll remember all the tags. I'll not get her to go through her 19 tags again, but Paddy will put them in the bio. Again, thank you so much to Queens for having us. Thank you, Fran, for coming on and having a conversation. Hopefully you've got something back from what makes her kind of successful. This lovely lady's only 23, and I can't wait to have her on. Hopefully like episode 110 or 20, Paddy. But yes, I'll leave you guys with the OLY mantra, which is small victories repeated daily, and we will talk to you real soon.